The alien girl was rejected hundreds of times. Then a human gave her a home. She stood outside the supply depot, her small gray hands clutching a torn piece of fabric wrapped around her shoulders. Her skin was a soft violet, her eyes too big for her face, with a glow that dimmed each time someone walked by and pretended not to see her. Her name was Vireli, and she had been rejected by over 100 homes, cities, colonies, and ships. Each time, it was the same story. Too different. We don't have the resources. Try elsewhere. Vireli had tried elsewhere, again and again. She was from a planet that no longer existed, wiped out by the war between species that she didn't understand. Her people, once proud, were now considered remnants, refugees scattered across a galaxy. She was just a girl, not dangerous, not sick, just unwanted. Then one day, she walked into the outpost on Tiro's 4. Dust covered her feet. Her eyes were sunken from hunger. She didn't speak much anymore. Words had stopped helping. She sat on the edge of a crate and waited for someone to yell at her. Maybe a guard would chase her off, or someone would toss her a half-rotten ration and tell her to move along. She was used to that, but instead she heard a voice. "You all right there?" Vireli blinked. The voice belonged to a man, a human man. He crouched in front of her, rough beard, warm brown eyes, and old clothes that looked just as dusty as hers. His name was Kale. She didn't answer, just stared. "You hungry?" he asked. Still, she said nothing, but her stomach growled in response. Kale nodded as if that was enough of an answer. He stood and motioned for her to follow. Cautiously, she did. He led her to a small hut just outside the outpost walls. It wasn't much. Tin roof, solar panel cracked at the edge, and only one chair inside. But it had a roof. It had warmth. "Sit down," he said. "Food's not fancy, but it's better than the trash outside." He handed her a bowl of stew. Hot, smelled like vegetables and something spicy. Vireli hesitated. She sniffed it, then looked at him. "No poison," he said with a tired grin. "I'd be a real jerk if I poisoned a hungry kid." She slowly took a bite. It burned her tongue a little, but it was good, warm, filling, real. Kale watched her quietly as she ate. He didn't ask questions, not at first. He just let her finish. When she was done, she looked up, unsure what came next. "You got a name?" he asked. "Vireli," she whispered. "That's a nice name," Kale said. "I'm Kale. You can stay here if you want. Not much space, but it's better than a crate, right?" She stared at him, confused. No one had said that before. "Stay? Here?" "I don't got much," he continued, scratching his head. "But I don't think you deserve to sleep in the dirt." Her eyes filled with tears. She turned her face away. That night, she slept curled up in a corner with a blanket he gave her. It smelled like old smoke and metal, but it was the warmest she had ever been. Days passed, then weeks. Kale didn't ask much about her past. Vireli eventually told him what little she remembered. Her parents gone in the attack, drifting from station to station, colony to colony, each one closing its doors. "I tried to be helpful," she said one night, staring at the fire. "I cleaned. I learned their languages. But they said I was still too alien." "Alien?" Kale snorted. "Everyone's alien to someone." She smiled at that, just a little. He taught her things. How to repair a generator, how to grow tuber roots in dry soil, how to use a scanner to detect approaching ships. She was a quick learner. Kale wasn't used to company. He had been a soldier once, then a wanderer. Tiro's 4 was supposed to be where he disappeared from the world. But now, with Vireli around, the place felt less empty. She painted the walls with glowing chalk from her home world. She sang in quiet, strange tones when she thought no one was listening. She asked questions, So many questions. Why is your hair like that? Why do humans eat with metal sticks? Why do you live alone? Kale answered what he could. Sometimes he just laughed. One evening, while repairing a comms panel, they picked up a message. A government ship was arriving to collect undocumented aliens. The phrase made Vireli's skin pale. She looked at Kale. They'll take me, not if I say you're my daughter. She blinked at him. But I'm not. You could be, he said, not looking at her. People adopt all the time. If they ask, I'll say you're mine. Vireli's lip trembled. You do that? I already did, he said with a shrug. Gave your name to the registry last week. She stood silent, her breath caught in her throat. But why? Kale looked her in the eyes for the first time in that conversation. Because you deserve better than being tossed away. When the government ship landed, officials walked through the outpost with scanners. One approached Kale's hut. You house an alien girl, the officer said. She's my kid, Kale replied, holding up the registry form. Her species is covered under the post-war adoption clause. The officer scanned it, grunted, and moved on. Vireli stood behind the door, trembling. When the footsteps faded, she burst into tears. Kale let her hug him. You're safe, he said softly. Years later, the little hut was replaced with something stronger. Solar panels, water recycler, proper walls. Vireli grew taller. Her violet skin deepened with maturity. Her eyes still glowed, but now they sparkled with joy. People came to the outpost sometimes. They heard stories of the human who adopted the alien girl no one wanted. Some were suspicious, others curious. A few brought gifts. One even asked Vireli if she wanted to leave with him, to a bigger planet, better schools. She said no. I have a home now, she said. It's here, with him. Kale never stopped calling her kid. She never stopped calling him Dad. One evening, as the sun set over Tiro's IV's rocky plains, Vireli stood next to Kale on a ridge. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Regret what? Taking me in. He gave her a long look. Only regret I got is not doing it sooner. She smiled, then leaned against his side. They stood there a while, two silhouettes against a fading light. One human, one alien, no longer strangers. Because sometimes, all it takes is one person to say yes when the rest of the universe has said no. And sometimes, home is not where you're born. It's where someone chooses to keep you.